Well, significant one is that these items were taken away from Native people and taken away from grave sites under the idea that we're going to study Native American people. Remember a long time ago, before NAGPRA at UC Berkeley, understanding it had like 11,000 human remains of natives in the museums there. And as a native student, not being able to go to the museum to have access to that. But other students that were non-native were able to go and have access to the remains. And so I think it's just an idea of disrespect. Like in the United States, I don't know how many other people were dug up and bones were taken and items were taken and put in museums. Pretty sure it was only Native Americans. I remember at the debate that we had when I guess the scientific side was like, well, we need to research Native Americans, and these bones allow us to research. My comment was, have you talked to the local Native tribe? Because we do have natives who actually speak, and if you ask them, I'm sure that they would help you with whatever questions you're trying to find. So I don't know how much it was about knowledge. I'm sure for some it was, but it's just like we have live speaking Native Americans that are willing to talk about their history and their cultures. And that should be the first approach. So just the idea of if we think about, I remember going to the archives, finally getting in, and there were remains of Native Americans and there were remains of Egyptian mummies. Those were the two peoples that were kind of taken by the museums. And so there's some type of in the past there was some kind of glorification. I don't know if it was setting the idea that colonization to colonize people is to, I guess, take their human remains, their burial remains, and put them in museums. So you separate them from actually you're colonizing real individuals and real humans to making them, put them in the light of being remains and being in museums and being studied as if they're not real. And I think that was a big part of it. And even with NAGPRA has been around for quite a while, since the 1990s. And it took a while for museums to want to do inventories, because I think they felt like they were somehow, those items were still their items. And as a museum or a university, we're going to protect those items and we're not going to give them away because they're somehow were sacred to the anthropologists or archaeologists, that those were special. But it's just a real wrong approach. And so I think with my grandfather, it's just the idea that he was buried and his person as a whole wasn't complete because he didn't have every part of him at his gravesite. And it was really upsetting to my mom and my aunties, because they were like, they didn't know this for 70 years, even though Harvard had the information. That as a family, we didn't know this whole time. We thought his burial was like done in a good way, in a complete way. And if he's missing a part of it, then I think what I understand from elders is just like, we need to feel bad for that. We need to apologize for that, because somehow we weren't allowing our people to be buried as a full, that they were just, buried without, it's like being buried without a leg or an arm. It's just not complete. And so the good thing is that NAGPRA allowed us to get his remains back and have his burial be complete, and that we feel like he can be at rest now.